Hello fellow followers. A woman so upset that people think she's drunk, a boy that hears voices in the night, and a giant that possibly gets hit in the nuts. It's time for the book of 1 Samuel. The book of 1 Samuel essentially tells the story of 3 people: Samuel, Saul, and David. And the book is split up around these 3 people. Part 1 tells the story of Samuel, his miraculous birth, his calling, and his career. Part 2, Samuel and Saul overlap. What, you want a king? I mean, you know he'll make you pay lots of taxes, right? And like finding his armies and stuff. I mean, it'll be it's a terrible idea. Right, fine, but don't say I didn't warn you. And part 3, Saul and David overlap. So it starts with David being appointed as king, and it ends with the death of Saul and his son Jonathan. You only little. Just a little aside to that story. In the traditional telling, a stone hits Goliath on the temple. He falls over and then David chops his head off with a sword. But the Hebrew isn't actually clear, and it's quite possible that he actually got hit a little bit further down. And then when he was hit, he keeled over. And it was then that David chopped his head off. Tell that story in Sunday school. 1 and 2 Samuel were originally one book, and so the main themes run across both books. So as an example, I'll talk about one theme in this video and one theme in the next video, if I ever manage to get around to it. And the best thing to do is watch both videos. The books of Samuel tell some cracking stories, and so it's easy to miss the main themes that run through them. But essentially they tell the story of transitions. From the occasional judge ruling over some people some of the time in some places, to institutionalized hereditary monarchy. From typical Near Eastern king who believes he can do what he wants, to a king who's loyal to Yahweh. From having no central dwelling place of God, to there being a central Jerusalem. It's all told with wit, irony, suspense and wordplay, and above all with one eye on what God is doing. So let's take a look at one of those themes lifted directly out of Deuteronomy, the worship of God in the place that he chooses for the dwelling of his name. This starts with the prophecy against Eli's family. Then in chapters 4 to 7, the ark is captured, which means the glory of God leaves Israel. But then in 2 Samuel, David brings the ark back to Israel, specifically back to Jerusalem, and he wants to build a temple, but he's forbidden by God. Then the books of Samuel finish with David building an altar in the exact place where the temple of God one day will be. So I think we'll finish there. There it is, the book of 1 Samuel. God bless, fellow followers.